that time. All right. Scituate Board of Health, Monday, February 1st, in the Selectmen's Chambers Town Hall. Call to order at 6 p.m. I will take a motion to open the meeting and accept the agenda.
Make a motion to accept the agenda of Board of Health, Monday, February 1st, 2016.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, first things up, item number 1, discussion/update regarding fats, oils, and grease regulations and compliance requirements for establishments currently without a grease trap.
So I just wanted to give you folks an update in preparation for potential variance requests coming in. We sent letters out to 9 establishments that, per their self-completed questionnaires in the fall, they indicated that they currently don't have a grease trap, whether it be internal or external. So we've been hearing from them or following up with them in the last several days. And just to give you an update, there is 1 grease trap that was installed at the end of last week. It's being inspected by town inspectors as of today. So we should be able to get that information shortly. We have 3 or 4 that will likely be requesting variances in the next several meetings. We indicated to each of these 9 that if they wanted to request a variance, that they should plan to come in to a Board of Health meeting, plus provide any documentation and a written variance request in advance of the meeting, and we'd like to have all of those meetings completed by the middle of March, so that they can all be on board. We have 2 that, as of now, the plans are unknown. We've left messages for the folks. One's a seasonal business and one's a full-time business. So we'll circle back with them in the next several days if we don't hear. And then we have 2 additional establishments that believe they may have filled out the questionnaire incorrectly. So they're going to review their records and files and give us any updates and go on from there.
Who was the one that just put one in last week?
Mary Lou's.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. Yep, they have, they've had great communication with us, giving us updates every step of the way, so.
So they on, no, Scituate now, that's all on,
Right.
Yeah, it's all subject.
All septic.
it's all set.
Yep.
And they don't make any food there or anything, they just
They reheat food.
reheat
They
food.
reheat food, you know,
Packaged food they sell.
Right.
and, you know, the concern is really the cream and the fats from the cream, although
Right.
minor.
Most of that, goes to people's stomachs.
Yeah, it's going out the door in a cup.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, but I guess if you have stuff that's aged or older and
You're gonna dump it
Okay.
out.
you gotta dump it out somewhere, I'm sure stuff gets left in the back of the refrigerator. I don't like to think that way, but I'm sure it happens.
Yep, so they need a proper way to dispose of it.
So that's good, they're on board. Well,
Yep, yep, they've been really great along the
Kudos
way.
to them.
Yep, great along the way.
That's one of Mary Lou's first customers out in Norwell. She was quite a lady.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they do a great job.
Back when she used to serve the
She
coffee.
built herself a pretty good business.
She did, she was quite the entrepreneur. A lot of respect for her.
All right, so that's where we are. So we're going to be working with these 9, and then the next group are establishments who currently do have something, but we're in the process of figuring out if they're actually in compliance. The regulations have specific time frames for inspections and cleanouts, so we're going to make sure that everybody's in compliance, and then if they're not, we'll send them letters and talk to them about what needs to be done. So that's the update there, unless you have any questions?
No?
No, you happy with everything coming in, the way things are progressing?
Yep, people are pretty responsive and, at least know what they need to do, whether it be the process for requesting a variance or in fact installation, so folks have been good.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, item number 2, discussion, plan of action for septic system failures.
So.
Which is numbered at what now?
So we have a total that we know of, 4, 8, we have 10 that we're working on right now. And we have a couple of different categories of failures. We have 3 homes that are unoccupied and either bank-owned or foreclosed on. So in 2 of those cases, we're actively engaged with the bank. They know what they need to do prior to sale. Both are, 2 of them are old cesspools. They realize that the homes should not and cannot be occupied until the systems are.
And the lender's aware of that.
Yep, the lenders have actually been very engaged, both checking in with me, asking questions, as well as providing updates on other aspects of their progression in terms of acquiring the property and/or making other related
So those
code
are
violation
getting a
adjustments.
Low priority list, knowing that they're unoccupied, so there's no really public health concern at the moment.
They are. Two of them were occupied when we first started working on the cases, but they have since progressed along, and the occupants at the time knew what they needed to do to protect the system from overflowing, yeah. So those are, lower priority, those two, but we're still staying engaged with the banks.
Yeah.
So that nothing falls through the cracks. Ultimately, when the home is sold, there's no surprises for the new buyers. The third one in that group, the bank is actively engaged with an engineer. We've been in contact with both the representatives for the bank as well as the engineer that will likely be selected to perform the repairs. It suffered significant storm damage several years ago, and they're just now finally working to repair it. So that group, I think, is in pretty good shape in terms of where we are from a public health protection standpoint. The next group is really just a single home. It's privately owned, it's a rental property, it's currently not occupied. They have been to some degree actively engaged with an engineer, but it's one that we haven't heard from in a while. So I'm going to circle back with both the engineer and the homeowner on the progress of moving forward to repair.
Well, if no one's in the house, it's not really a public concern, and again, to me, that seems low priority. It's up to the people to get it fixed themselves.
The only
As
concern
long as
is...
nobody's occupying it.
Right, and that's the thing, it's...
That's 100%. When somebody goes in there, then,
Right, it's historically a rental property, so that's the concern, is that it would be rented again, without us knowing that.
And the owner is in Scituate or out of Scituate?
In Scituate.
They're in Scituate, okay.
Yep, they have another property in Scituate.
Okay.
So that's the second
have they
group.
been sent a letter saying that the system is in failure and not to rent the house?
We have not sent them a do not rent the house letter yet, but that was going to be the next step if they don't,
Or
if they don't, right, if they don't continue.
When was the last time you did a drive-by, just to make sure the house isn't?
I have not done a drive-by in a little while. The previous renters just moved out within the last 2 months, I would say. And I have been through the neighborhood on other inspections in the last probably 3 weeks, and there haven't been cars in the driveway.
Yeah.
So I was planning to circle back with both the engineer and the homeowner to see what the status is of the design plan. We had received one, it hadn't been finalized, and things kind of stopped. So if they indicated that they weren't going to proceed any further, then I was going to send a letter about, not occupying the house until the system has been repaired. The third group are occupied homes. They have been in failure, so there are 4 of them that are occupied in this group. One failure was identified in the fall, and there was some initial correspondence between us and the homeowner, who does not live in Scituate, although it is occupied. And we have not received correspondence since, despite our inquiries. So they have been non-responsive, the system is in failure.
This is the fall of 2000.
Certified letters?
Certified letters, returned to us, no phone calls.
So return, not even acknowledged, meaning that...
The most recent was returned to us, yes.
Oh, okay.
And it is pretty close to the ocean. It's in North Scituate. So we need a plan of action for that group, for that individual.
How the procedure goes, but I would definitely send another letter in requesting just...
Yeah, but the letters, if she's rejecting the letters,
What was the content of the first letter?
The content of the first letter was, I responded to a utility company who breached the system at the time. We conducted, both Ralph and I went out, conducted an inspection, indicated, very clearly that the system was in failure. So the letter explained to the homeowner the process of us identifying the failure and what they needed to do. They were not the cause of the failure. They were repairing the line. And unbeknownst to them, there was an old system nearby. And they were right next to it, and it was very clear that the system was in failure, and they were exposed to waste from the system, the employees of the company.
Let me ask you a question. The homeowner, the occupant now, the renter, have you been in contact with them? Are they the ones that have been reaching out saying it's failing, or was it because of the utility company that?
Because of the utility company, we became aware of the situation. The homeowner does not live in Scituate. We had initial contact, and we have not since been able to receive.
Do you have a phone number for the homeowner?
We do, and we have corresponded by phone a couple of times, but it has not led to action. So I would
send the nasty letter and to both the tenant and the homeowner, requesting a meeting before the Scituate Board of Health, and ramifications are that you don't have, your house will be condemned, your tenant will be evicted, and we can proceed from there. I mean, that's...
Yeah, that was my thought, is that I wanted to bring them before you.
No, it's definitely at that point.
If they're going to ignore you, then, we got to start our process.
If she ignores you and you get a letter to return, then obviously there's a little defiance going on.
Okay.
Especially if there's an open hole or something.
Yeah, no, it's covered. It is
How many
covered.
renters in the house, do you know?
I believe there's a single occupant, and I believe it is family as opposed to a tenant.
So it is a family. So the 12.
Well, then, if you post a letter on the door, it'll get back to the...
It will.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be forceful, Jim. You have to be forceful.
The second one in that group was also a failure identified in the fall. We received notification from a neighbor that the system was in failure, went out, confirmed it. There were several pump and haul and/or inspectors that also confirmed that it was in failure. I've been working directly with the homeowner, and there's a possibility that a sewer connection will be available to that homeowner. So they are working with both us and DPW, and I think they're going to start the process working with the sewer commissioners to see if that's a viable option. If it's not, then they'll work towards repair.
As in for an emergency sewer connection?
Non-emergency sewer connection, because I know that
valid
they
connection,
potentially have a valid sewer connection without the need to come before us for an emergency connection first.
Well, it's not just us, it's
So.
the board, it's the selectmen too.
Right, so the homeowner believes that they are able to go right before the sewer commissioner, because it's not
Right.
an emergency
If it's an
connection,
existing-
so.
yeah, it's an
Existing output there then. All right, well, that's good.
So they've been engaged with us, they've been working with us over the last couple of months, and, we're also coordinating with DPW and other offices to make sure that one way or another, and the homeowner has been very responsive.
Yeah.
And that's good,
So.
and they've been pumping if
They
there's a
have,
problem?
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
And if there's any advice given to them about showering and water usage and making sure they have low-flow toilets, and maybe if they gotta do laundry, they can
Go down the harbor.
go down the harbor, do it outside of the house. I mean, just water conservation, I guess, but sometimes you don't think of that stuff.
Yeah, no, they have been really good, they've known what they had to do, they've been working with, Rosano Davis, and.
So somebody's given them advice.
Somebody's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, all right, that's all. That's all, as long as there's forward progress on something like that, that's.
Yep.
Hey,
Yep, they've been really diligent. And then the other two that we have are a couple that we identified by going through old files, filing some things. There's one house that was in failure in March of 2014, given 1 year, and there was no follow-up. We were unaware that there was follow-up needed, so.
March 2014, that would be just before your tenure.
Right.
Yeah, so that one slipped through the cracks, so that's good, well, we'll reinvestigate it, and, yeah.
They were given a year, and there was no correspondence, no plans submitted, nothing. So I was planning on sending them a letter reminding them that they were supposed to.
Yes, you've caught a break.
Yeah, right, you got a little,
You've got a break, you've had a little reprieve.
now what do you think, Steve, on something like that, if Jeff sends a letter, do you give them a month, 30 days, you give them 60 days?
Well,
To respond?
Yeah, you have the 30 days to get a correspondence back and a plan of action,
Yeah.
because obviously there's no plan of action.
And then I guess if the 30 days goes by and they ignore you, then we send the nasty letter,
With
that's
the letter.
eviction and all the other.
Right,
nasty
you've
stuff.
had 2 years now, you had an extra year.
Yep.
And we haven't hounded you either.
Right.
Right, right. And similarly, we have a failed Title V report for another property from January of 2013 and no indication of follow-up.
Who did the inspection? And was it the Title V, where they were selling the house, or was it Title, or they,
Yep. It was not a voluntary assessment.
okay, so.
PF Spencer did the
so-
Title V
So the house
inspection.
shouldn't have sold then, correct?
Correct, it's still owned by the same
All right,
individuals.
okay.
Yep.
So in a case like that, it fails inspection not because there was effluent coming out of the ground. It was inspected because they were thinking of doing a sale.
Correct.
Right.
Again, it's failed, but, you know, it's not like,
Well,
they can't sell a house
put it
with
this way,
it.
there's probably more than one of those in town like that.
Oh, I'm sure, and I don't see the priority on that
Right.
because I get it, they were trying to sell the house. Let's get the Title V done. It fails, we get it fixed if we have a buyer, and I'm sure that's part of the negotiation. But
Right.
it's not a health issue, you know what I mean? It failed by paperwork.
Right.
I don't know what the priority is. I understand it failed.
Yeah, what was the fail, what was the notice? Failure.
System failed, inlet and outlet pipes underwater.
And so it's high ground water.
From, well,
Which could have been the day that it was tested,
Yeah.
correct?
I mean, I'm just thinking that's something to keep on the radar, but it's not like it's a health.
it's been 14, 15, it's been almost 3 years in failure, and typically they are allowed 2 years from the time in which they receive a failed Title V inspection to
But
either
that was
repair,
voluntary.
no, it wasn't it's not voluntary, because we wouldn't have gotten documentation of it if it were voluntary. These are for mandatory reporting,
So I wonder who awarded it then.
so. I don't know, because
Well,
these
Well,
forms
if
are
you
not
have
for
a- if you
voluntary
have a-
assessments.
If you have you hire somebody to do that inspection, then they're supposed to give it to the town. So, but they probably volunteered to do it to sell the house, you know what I'm getting at? It's not
Yeah,
like,
Pete's under obligation to give a copy to the town,
no matter what.
no matter what, right,
Right.
so.
Right,
So
so it
it's kind of
hits,
So it's still voluntary, what Russell's saying, it's still they still did it voluntarily, meaning there wasn't an action, there wasn't a complaint against them in order to have this done. They were investigating selling their house, and maybe it was on the market, maybe that would have been part of the negotiation, you know, the 30,000 plus or whatever the number they might have gotten.
That might have squashed the sale, and all.
That, it might have.
But either way, it's not our speculation, I just don't know.
So
It's-
every time you get a Title V that fails, you ignore it?
Well, see, that's the other thing too, it's not that you ignore it, it's just that the house didn't sell, it's the people in there, I mean, I don't know. I don't
You
know, I'm
said-
probably wrong, but my.
It's
Sure,
kind
2
of,
years.
it's right on the
typically 2
water.
years,
Yeah.
right? It's
I mean-
typically,
Just send a letter, just say, we were perusing some older records, we had noticed that you had, from Pete Spencer, the inspection, Title V of whatever the date may be. We are investigating to see if
Further
any
actions,
further action is taken since you had this inspection done
yeah, to the repair system, yeah.
to the repair of your system.
okay, sounds good.
And see if you get a knockback, and if you don't get a knockback, then you can send another letter that says, oh, by the way, you were only supposed to have 2 years from the date that it happened.
Yeah. Because we're also acquiring, this kind of leads to the fourth group, we're starting to acquire a recent group where we've received failed Title V inspection reports. We received one in December and one in January. I
And
believe,
again, these are voluntary inspections of people selling their houses. or-
I'm not sure why they did them, we just get
My
copies of
only thing
them.
with something like that is, maybe that's what my mindset is it's almost punishing somebody for something that's not, it's failed by paper, and I get it, you're supposed to.
Yeah, but Russell, there was a reason why they had the inspection, so either they were just satisfying their own curiosity,
Right.
or they were putting the house up for sale. It's the only two reasons. Well, unless you knew there was a real problem.
Right.
But if you knew there was a real problem, you wouldn't spend the money on having an inspection done.
Well, maybe you would to see, maybe, well, like, again,
Yeah.
satisfy your own curiosity, you know?
Right, I mean, we received some reports where it's merely a failed distribution box, and in that case, they go out, they repair that one component, and then we get the
Right.
updated report indicating that it's passed, we've inspected it, et cetera.
Right.
Whereas in, several of these cases, it's the entire system that's in
System-wide.
Yeah, it's a
failure,
bigger
yeah.
A
problem.
system-wide failure, I mean, I do think it should be investigated.
Yeah.
You know,
that-
and, obviously it's Jen's discretion and Sue's discretion when they get it. Like she said, if it's a distribution box or if it's whatever small piece of the chain it may be, but if it's a whole system-wide failure, then maybe it's just worthy of.
Usually they fix it if it's something small. They don't really.
They have to know, I mean, they know that when they, hire Peter or Zana or whoever it may be, that they're going to, a copy has to come to the town hall.
Sure.
Right, so they're aware of what they're doing.
Yeah. So we'll send letters
Yeah,
inquiring,
Those can be in the nice letter file.
Right, yeah.
Yep. So that's where we are. I just kind of wanted to walk through those things
Wow.
because we do have a lot in various stages of the process of repairs. In some cases, the bank-owned process can take some time. But we seem to be acquiring a large list without any significant action for some of them. So I wanted to be able to bring them to your attention and then also make a plan forward for, in some cases, bringing them before the board if necessary. So that's the update there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, good job, good follow-up. All right, item number 3 on our agenda, discussion/vote, proposed changes to section 10-230, criminal and non-criminal disposition of bylaw violations of the general bylaws. So Jen, you can clarify that a little bit for us.
So in this particular section of the bylaw, it illustrates for each of the applicable departments what the current finding structure is. And I've given you a copy with a couple of my notes on it of that section of the bylaw. And there's one board / department that is planning to increase their fines so that they have the discretion to issue a fine up to $300. It's a proposed bylaw change potentially going before town meeting. And it was brought to our attention that if we wanted to consider any changes, this would be an appropriate time to discuss and potentially make those changes.
What's the date on these? When were these bylaws from?
The most recent version that I have is from April of 2013, the Code of General Bylaws. They have not been changed since at least that time. And there's two schools of thought. The first school of thought is if you increase the potential maximum fine, it puts a little bit more teeth to enforcement if and when that's needed. The other thought is that by keeping them smaller, you're more likely to get compliance. And as the section of the bylaw indicated, each day is considered a separate violation or offense. So whether they're small or large, they do add up over time. It's just a matter of how quickly they add up. We have several separate regulations in our board that has a tiered approach where it's for the first fine, you can be fined up to $100, second up to $200, third up to $300. And I think that's the potential suggestion this other department is going, that they would like to have some discretion up to a maximum amount. So I figured it was at least worth bringing to your attention if you wanted to consider increasing the fines or not, and proposing to bring this to town meeting on our behalf too. The applicable section of the bylaw is the housing bylaw. which we do not find very often. I think serious health and safety concerns would be the things that we would focus on in finding, such as, egress obstructions, carbon monoxide smoke detectors, those kinds of things that would be pretty egregious failures of meeting the state sanitary code. So I wanted to bring that possibility to your attention to see if it was something that you were interested in pursuing, or if we would leave our fines the same and see how it goes.
Well,
Excuse
God
me.
Bless you.
Thanks.
you don't issue fines very often anyway.
Correct.
So that means it must be working to an extent. But I also see where the Conservation Committee wants to do what they're gonna do, because, it's more of a deterrent. So yes, I see both schools of thought.
Both sides. Mhm.
Russell, what are your thoughts?
When was the last time these went up?
That I'm not sure. I think it was when our bylaw
Yeah,
was
so let me ask you a
instituted.
question, why is the Conservation one so far out of whack from all the other ones? So that's up to $300.
That's a proposed bylaw
But
change.
so what is theirs covering now, do you know?
They are in line with the rest of us currently.
$550.
Mhm.
So can I ask a question, why does the Conservation Committee feel the need to jack that up by so much?
It's actually the potential change put forward by the planning board. This is something that they're discussing. I'm not sure if they are entirely putting it forward, but it's the planning board that would be.
I know, but why, do you know the reason why they're increasing it sixfold? They could increase it sixfold or sevenfold or whatever they're planning.
Right, the proposed is up to 300, and it's that first school of thought where there hasn't been compliance in the past with applicable stormwater-related violations, and they are hoping that having the ability to fine at a higher rate would gain either compliance or the ability to work better.
Well, because it's either we follow them or we don't. But see, I think this looks silly, up to $300, and the rest of us are $20, $50. It's sort of,
Yeah, it's out of whack.
it's out of whack. It minimalizes what our violations are compared to what their violations are. That's
Well, I
why
think
asked
it may be a
is
matter of scale.
Why do they feel the need to go that much?
It may be a matter of scale too, and I don't want to speak for another board's thought process, because I don't know. But I could envision that they're talking about very large projects, I'm believing. We've got large subdivisions, you have huge projects, whereas we have a single housing unit with, X number of housing violations. So I think potentially the scale of the projects or the scale of the cases may be different.
Okay, but in the scheme of things, what's more important is that you have and I'm not minimizing anything that they do, but you have a subdivision that's right next to a tributary or whatever it may be, and, somebody, a builder or something, goes over that, they fine them $300. And in our case, you're dealing with somebody, in a situation that could potentially make them sick and/or very ill, or death for that matter. So that's why I'm just asking, is if we keep ours, it just makes ours trivial compared to theirs. And again, I don't know the reason why they did it.
Yeah, I can't
So
speak
maybe
to
we
that.
need to do a little research just to realize, because I don't have a problem doing it, but I don't want ours to look tiny compared to theirs. And then they're kicking out $250 or $300 fines for things that may seem trivial to some people. And then we have a place that, we have a repeat offender of whatever violation, and we're only giving them $50 fines. So
That's per day, right?
Yes,
It is per
it's
day.
per day. It would be
Yeah.
per day.
But
20, 50, 300, it all adds up pretty.
it does, but
Right,
I'm
it
just,
does.
so I
It
just,
does.
and again, I'm not trivializing what they've done and why they're doing it. I just would like it all to be aligned. And, we don't issue enough fines, you don't issue enough fines anyway. And I don't know if they do, or maybe they haven't giving out $25 little fines here and there to these guys, which is a mosquito bite to some of these guys, and they're trying to minimize all that paperwork and everything. And I don't know,
maybe you can find out
Sure,
for us.
sure, I can certainly do
Before-
more research
Before
and,
anybody, and we wouldn't vote without like something like that.
Of course.
anyway,
of
So
course.
we have before town meeting in order to do that.
We have to, if we were going to propose a change, we would have to do it before the warrant would close. And that is coming up
That'd be pretty
soon.
close.
Yeah, we're pretty soon. So I will check in with the planning board to see
Yeah, let's-
where they are in the process and
Let's figure
circle
out
back.
why the discrepancy, and, you know, that's their proposed change, no matter what, up to 300, non-negotiable, that's them, right?
That, I believe that is what they are
And that's the
planning,
planning board.
and/or conservation would be able to
Answer.
issue the fine.
So that's all, I would just want to bring ours in line, so it doesn't stick out, theirs doesn't stick out like a sore thumb and make ours look trivial when ours aren't trivial, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That's my thoughts.
I was gonna ask too, I don't know, if we've looked at any other towns locally to see about where they're at. And also too, as long as the fine covers our cost, so to say, because I wouldn't want to be in the negative. If it takes you 2 or 3 hours to do this, then the fine should be somewhere where it's covering cost. I mean, it's useless to even have the fine if we're going to go backwards. So you can't run a business that way. Just, I got to look at it that way. As far as being in line with someone else, that's their own thought. I just, you know, doesn't matter to me. But I wouldn't want to see us go backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
how I look at it. I have no
Okay.
problem going up. They do seem a little low to me as a fine, but where we establish it, I don't know.
Okay, then I'll.
But it's also on a scale, so you can look at it that if somebody's really bad, you can go to the maximum of 300, meaning like a smoke detector violation, and you want those fixed immediately, hey, it's $300 a day, you can play it the way you want it.
Right.
Or if it's something, I don't know, what, a screen missing on a door, then we have the option to levy that at a minimum.
Right,
Right.
and I think.
To say we're serious, we want you to get it fixed, but
Right.
I'm not gonna whack you the $300 a day.
Right, unlike this one.
Right, and
Unlike the
that's,
smoke detector, where, as you said, one,
Right.
the screen is a perfect example, of mosquito bite or death to
Right.
somebody. I
Right.
mean, well, a mosquito bite could be death to somebody too, I suppose.
Right.
Get triple E or whatever, but neither here nor there. But that's where my mindset is,
Okay.
so I have no, but further look at this, but probably
Okay.
time's up the essence with, and the idea of that was that these are going before town meeting, so if we do it all together, when they reprint these things, instead of us deciding to change them next year, then they gotta reprint them all again
Right.
with revisions, and I get that too. If we don't get on board, then, you know, it's gonna sit probably for a couple of years, so.
When was the last fine you actually issued?
I have not had to issue a fine since I've been here, which is a good thing. But, we, you know,
Most of
we,
them might even be mute anyways, but
and we,
it's there to have if you need it.
right, and we have the ability to issue fines, under many of our board regulations, you know, for example, you know, tobacco. When you folks, implemented the regulations within that section is a fining process, separate from any, town bylaws. And you have done that in a phased approach, you know, first offense up to X, second offense up to X, and you've set the dollar limits. So, you guys have done that. This was just brought to our attention that if in fact this moves forward to town meeting, anybody who wanted to make a proposed change, it would make sense to do it all at once.
I
So-
100% agree with that, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a matter, of maybe we do go to the maximum. That way, as long as we have a minimum and a maximum to work in between, you don't have to hit somebody with the maximum. It's
Yeah, and the three.
there as a deterrent.
Yep, the $300, that upper limit, is the maximum by state statute. So you could not fine more than $300 per state statute. Correct,
Right.
correct.
So that got out pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But within that, you gotta remember, and like you said, this is probably all mute anyways, because you haven't given a fine, but you wanna be fairly consistent with how you did it, like we gave an example, that some things have more weight than others. You know, you couldn't fine one person 300 for a missing smoke detector, the next guy comes in and you only fine him $20.
Right.
And we have, you know, in my relatively short tenure here, when we go in to do housing inspections, I'm surprised by the number of smoke detector violations that we have. Folks are usually pretty quick to get those rectified, because they are also considered a condition deemed to endanger or impair health and safety, which is a very critical component of the state regulations for tenants' rights. So folks are pretty quick to get those kinds of violations fixed, and what I recommend to landlords, or even owner-occupied, is that they have the fire department come in for a small fee. I think it's a $30 fee. The fire department will come in, make sure they're in the right place, that they're working effectively, and they'll give them essentially a certificate of compliance.
For the 30 days.
It's good for 30 days, so it's good for the homeowner, it's good for the occupant, and it gives us that sense of
This unit was done
relief.
right.
That was done right, exactly.
At that point.
So that's the way we've worked on those types of things to date. But unfortunately, if folks are non-compliant repeatedly, fining, whether it's $20, $300, it's still an option. So I will circle back with other boards considering, or other departments considering proposing a change and get feedback.
Yeah, I don't think this problem, at this time, I have no problem going right up, because we have the ability to scale that. Is there a minimum time?
Right now, ours is a flat $20 under the housing bylaw.
So we should have it scaled then, where it's between a number and a number.
So, I think that's the intent potentially behind this one, where they say up to, and then it's at the discretion of the board to issue it
I guess that's
within
what
that confine.
Not an attorney, and I've
So.
never even played one on TV, but I guess up to would be legally set to say, yeah, up to.
And then you have the discretion.
That's your scale.
Well, find out when the warrant closes, and then we want to vote without Dougie anyway.
Sure.
So, right?
It doesn't matter, I mean, he'll catch it.
I don't know.
If
That's
he's
fine.
around, he's around, if he's not, he's not, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well-
You can always chime in through Jen anyways,
Well, I suppose we could.
if he was on board or not on board, you know what I mean? If it was a hot topic for him, then,
Yeah.
no, I would respect him and ask him. If he says,
Well,
no, it's
we'll
not that
wait.
big of a hot
Okay.
topic, we
Yeah,
That's fine.
we'll wait, yeah, we'll
Okay.
wait.
Yeah. Can go through you and
Sure.
Yeah, we'll wait.
say, I talked to Doug, and he said,
Yeah. Whatever.
Sure.
right.
All right.
Okay, next up on the agenda, other business, administrative invoice approvals and meeting minute approvals.
We have a couple.
And I know you sent us some minutes.
I did.
Oh.
These are the copies and minutes, these are the POs. There's only a couple because you guys did them for me last week. And we haven't had the internet to order anything.
It's back. It's back. We have now.
Oh, Russell needs to sign, that's a good idea.
I get my rubber stamp in the office, don't you?
No,
So,
we like to see him.
so one of the times you have me is Steve with a B, and the other time you have
I
Steve
do?
with a PH.
Oh, I will change that, I'm so sorry.
Steve with a B.
Okay.
Whoops.
And I know it's PH.
No, it's V.
No, it's me.
It is?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, you know.
Don't mind me, I'm not on top of my game
That's okay,
tonight.
don't worry about it. So these
Had a
are
rough
ones you
day.
emailed to us?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so, whatever, you guys decide.
Well, there's one copy of each, so.
So we'll make the typo revision
Yes, yeah,
regardless.
Absolutely.
One of these was with Mr. Vaso, wasn't it?
No, this is August, he was out in August, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he was gone.
Right.
Doug joined us
Yeah, this is-
in August for his
Yeah,
first
this is,
meeting.
June, this one.
Oh, that was June?
Yeah.
Right. When did?
So you made note of that one of them just came up, but he's not.
Michael
Just in
left us
case
at the end
he
of
had a
June,
rejection.
and Doug was appointed in July and met with us for the first time in August.
Yeah, because Steve and I can vote on this,
We don't know.
but Mr. Vaso can't.
August 1st?
August
He
31st.
can't defend himself. We could really.
Doug was with us in August.
I was told not to do that.
I would not do that.
I'm kidding.
I'm funning too, but you know what I mean.
I do, definitely.
I think I read through these over the weekend.
Yeah, I glanced at it.
Yeah, I didn't see anything
Glaring.
glaring stuck out. Everything was in good order.
All right, you want to vote on?
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes there, June 15th, 2015, and also August 31st, 2015.
With the changes.
With the
Yes.
changes.
With the clerical changes. All
Yeah.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and that's it. Any motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
All right.
Motion.
Thank
My
you.
motion, I motion up to do it.
Oh, boy.